Everyone. This is Todd Schweim, and I want to welcome you to the Manufacturers Forum webinar this evening. I'll be the moderator for tonight, and we just have a few housekeeping items to take care of before we get started. I want to welcome everyone to the forum. We have 150 registered attendees for tonight, along with 10 manufacturers. Each of the manufacturers will be given 5 minutes for a presentation and 2 minutes for Q&A. All our attendees tonight should note that the questions from the speaker will be fielded from the Q&A section only. Questions in the Q&A will be answered live and the answers won't be typed. We will try to answer technical difficulties in the chat room as best as possible. I recommend that everybody for tonight try to work in the gallery view of Zoom to give the best possible presentation. Ed LaCroix will be hosting tonight's Manufacturers Forum, and with that, I'll turn it over to Ed. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Good evening. As NAR National Events Chairman, I want to welcome the manufacturers and NAR members to this inaugural virtual Manufax. The manufacturers present tonight are Peter Alway, Aerospace Specialty Products, Aerotech Quest, Apogee Components, Dinosaur Rocketry, Estes Industries, Egg Timer Rocketry, E-Rockets, Impulse Launch Systems, New Way Space Models, and North Coast Rocketry. A quick aside, I want to remind members that the Board of Trustee elections close at midnight, July 28th. If you are a senior NAR member, please just go over to the NAR website, log into your personal account, and vote. Moving on, earlier today, I emailed to all the attending manufacturers guidelines for tonight's webinar. If you haven't seen that email at this point, just go to the top of the member chat to view them. I recommend that people watch this webinar in gallery view, which is a selection found in the upper right-hand corner of your webinar window. When in the desired view, the upper right-hand corner should say Gallery View. So let's get to the action. We are going to begin tonight's webinar with the man formerly known as Saturn Press and now known as the hawking books out of the front of my car, Peter Alway. Peter, it's great to see you. Take it away.
Is, you can't read it because it's backwards, 16 rockets and missiles of the Cold War. No, it isn't. It's 16 rockets of the space flight dreamers. So these are people like the VFR in Germany, the Soviet Geared Group, the American Rocket Society. Lots of fun stuff in here. I got to show you the one that is the weirdest looking contraption. I don't know how good that view is, but I think you can see that it is an odd looking beast. And let's see if I can bring up the photograph. Where's that photo? There we go. I think you can also see that this is an odd beast, the Geared 07. So there's lots of fun stuff in these booklets. I'm selling a mail order. You can get to me at my email address, which is conveniently backwards. Hey, maybe it bleeds through the paper. There we go. Pete Alway at AOL.com. Contact me. Or I've got people who are selling these things. ASP, who will be on later, is selling these books. So I am Stone Age right now, as you can tell in the car.
Peter, just a heads up, it's not backwards. We can read it.
Oh, well, that's because you're looking at it bleed through. This is forward.
That looks good to us. Nope.
Yeah.
It looks...
This you can read, right?
No.
Turn it around.
This you can read?
Yes, we can read that.
Oh, that's crazy. Okay. Well, in that case, there's my email address, and I can give you the information. I don't have PayPal set up yet, so I'm just taking checks in the mail, and I'll send you my postal address if you email me at petealway@aol.com. Or if you'd prefer to deal with a real vendor who knows what they're doing, we have ASP Rocketry, E-Rockets. Now, ASP and E-Rockets don't have the Spaceflight Dreamers yet, but they are in the mail, quite literally. ARA Press doesn't have Space Dreamers. Hopefully they'll order soon. So if you want to get it straight from me, email me and I will send you what you need to mail me by postal stuff. But there are vendors who will carry these. So lots of good rockets that you haven't dealt with before, probably. All rockets of the world kind of scale data. And I might as well tell you what I'm hoping to get done in the fall, depending on whether the pandemic makes me work twice as hard or not at all. If I'm working twice as hard, nothing's happening in the fall. If I am not working, then there will be some number of U.S. Air Force missiles of the Cold War. I've got 3 versions of the Atlas, Titan 1, Titan 2, and several under work, Falcon. So there will be at least one more booklet coming out in the fall, unless things are totally crazy with teaching. That's my tale. Thank you for listening to my tale. I'll see if I can read questions. If there's no questions.
So Todd, are you going to feed the?
Yep, Peter, we've got one question for you at the moment. How have sales been during the quarantine? Have people been buying, building, or is everyone just waiting to fly?
I've been selling some stuff. It hasn't been great, not because, well, first of all, I haven't been doing mail order in 15 years. And in the past, my biggest selling has been in person at launches. And I haven't been able to make it to a launch because often I'll just, I think people at launches are just hot to spend some money. And like I say, I haven't been doing mail order for so long, and I haven't had a chance to get advertising out properly.
Sure. Okay, we've got another question from Don Carson. He's asking, do you have any plans for an update to Rockets of the World?
Yeah, eventually, someday. I'll put it this way. These booklets are a hint at what I hope Rockets of the World 5th edition will include. This stack of 5 books that I just showed you, that stack of 5 is basically something like close to 200 pages that would be added into a new edition of Rockets of the World. So in a sense, this is progress towards it right here that I'm selling.
Okay, great. Do we have any more questions for Peter? All right, great. Thank you very much, Peter.
Okay, thank you all for listening, and buy my books.
From the front of his car.
Yeah, or through the mail, or from these other guys that are going to be up. I know that, not ARA, but ASP and E-Rockets are going to be on, so next time you order from them, just check out my books in their catalogs, websites, whatever you look at. Thank you.
Thanks, Peter.
All right. So next up, Todd's gonna promote Andy Jackson from Aerospace Specialty Products. At least that's our plan. Peter will eventually go away, but not literally, or just figuratively.
Well, I could just tell you that ASP, you should buy my books from ASP. Yeah, that's it.
There you go.
All right. Andy should be coming online shortly.
I see a window for him.
Yep.
And hopefully all the audio and everything is going to work.
Andy, can you start your video?
There's
There he is.
Andy.
How's that?
We see you.
Okay. Well, thank you for having me follow Peter, which is never fun.
Well, that was a bit of a on the fly Peter working out of the front of his car, wanted to make sure the battery had enough juice in it for him to perform his service to all of us.
That is wonderful, wonderful. Buy his books.
I've never seen you this clean. Never have you looked this good. I mean, you look awesome.
Well, this is my, Corona due. Fortunately, my wife does my hair, so I don't have to have the long Corona hair that a lot of
Very
people
good.
are sporting.
All right, I won't divert you. Have at it.
All right. Greetings from lovely Lake Placid, Florida, the Caladium capital of the world, and the town in the United States that has the highest per capita population of clowns. So take that for what you will. I'm Andy Jackson, owner of Aerospace Specialty Products. This year actually is the 25th anniversary of Aerospace Specialty Products. I'm very proud of that. For those of you that are not familiar with us, we do scale, competition kits, sport kits, bulk kits for education, school groups, and the like. We also have a full line of components for low and mid power, adhesives, finishing materials, engines, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We are into competition rocketry in addition to kits such as our ever popular Extravaganza rocket kit. We also have hang time competition parachutes, 1/4 mil Mylar, the 1/4 mil Mylar sheets, G10 fin material, pre-cut G10 fins, and the ever popular silver Mylar tape with 1,000 uses. One of these days, I'm actually going to write down 1,000 uses and see if I can come up with actually more than 10. New stuff this year. Recently released a new scale kit for 24 millimeter motors. Indonesian RX 250 LPN. See that? Balsa nose cone, laser cut fins, water slide decals, flies great on 24 millimeter black powder composite motors. It's light enough where you can also put an adapter in it and fly on 18 millimeter motors, even as low as a B. I flew it on a Quest B44 Q-Jet, and it was a nice little nominal flight on a small field. Also this year, oops, try not to drop that too much. Also this year, we've introduced what we call our neon sport shoots. We've had our sport shoots that we've had for years, little 12, 15, 18, 24-inch shoots, et cetera, for mostly low power models. We found this nice neon material. I don't know how well this colors are going to show up here on the screens. We have that comes in neon pink, neon orange, neon yellow, and neon green. They come in 12, 15, and 18-inch sizes. My wife loves these. My wife, who has flown one rocket in her life, but every time she looks at these, she says, you know, how much she loves the color. So maybe I can convince her to build another rocket if she can fly one of these. Gotten really good feedback on these. These come in individual shoots as well as some combo packs. You can get all the pink sizes, you can get all the oranges, you can get all the 12-inchers, whatever. Kind of the biggest little news from the past year is we've reintroduced our minimum diameter Micromax kits. Many years ago when Quest first came out with the Micromax motors, we came out shortly thereafter with a line of predominantly scale kits that use those motors. These are all minimum diameter, which means they're just a little over 1/4 inch in diameter. These were out of production for a while. They're back into production now. G10, or excuse me, 3D printed nose cones on all of them. Mostly scale. There's the little Sonda 2B, Hawk. This is perhaps the most popular recently is the Jayhawk with a full color decal on those. And again, 3D. The one that's not scale is the little tube kit, tube stabilized rocket. Again, these are all older kits that have been re-released. We will be having some new ones. Right now coming out is the Black Brant 3 for Micromax. This will be available this week. It's already on the website at the low introductory price of $4.99. You can't beat that with a stick. So we'll have these packed up in a few days and ready to go, and those are ready to order. So please be sure and check out the website at www.asp-rocketry.com. Please sign up for the mailing list. We don't send out a ton of emails, 1 or 2 a week, or not 1 or 2 a week. That would be a ton. 1 or 2 a month. We do give special offers just for mailing list members on the mailing list, so it might be worth your while to check that out. Also, please be sure to like and follow our Facebook page at asprocketry.com. Facebook, asp.rocketry. I get all these confused. There's too many names. But you can find all that on our Facebook page or on our website. Please, everybody, I'm going to cut it off now. Stay safe. Hope you are being good. And we will hopefully see everybody in person in Geneseo in a year.
Awesome, Andy. In the Q&A, we've got a question from Dan Petrie for you. He wants to know, regarding the Mylar tape, can you give us a few of the 1,000 uses?
Taping, that's one. People use it a lot on competition parachutes. If you want to make your own competition parachutes, attaching it to Mylar. You can use it for hinges on gliders, hinges on things like helicopter rockets. People actually, some do use it for an external tape for motor retention. So that's 3 out of 1,000. I think that's a pretty good start.
All right. And then I think Roy Green and Bob Kaplow are sort of teaming up on a question here with regards to the parachutes.
Which scares me.
They were, I think they're asking, is the material plastic or like nylon, you know, cloth?
Plastic. It's plastic on the neons.
Okay. It's a plastic material. Good. Someone commented the yellow looked like it pretty much blew out the high-def video. So, yeah.
Very visible.
Right. And I think that's all the questions that I can see currently for you.
All right, great.
All right. So,
thanks, Dad. Thanks, everybody.
Well, thank you for participating. And
miss seeing everyone. Stay safe. We'll see you soon.
And Frank Angelo says, great company and nice to see you. So there you are.
All right.
So we're now going to promote Bill Stein from Estes Industries. I'm sure Todd will cue him up here in just a moment. And we'll get to find out and revisit a couple of the questions in the Q&A after Bill has given his piece, because there were some already, a few questions were already asked for Bill. Here he comes. I see a name up. And
there we go.
There he is, live from the office.
Ellis in the background. Can you hear me okay?
You are 5 by 5, if not more. Yeah, you're plenty loud enough, Bill. It's good. Very good.
Okay, good. We'll go ahead and get started. We've got a lot to show you and talk about.
All right, fire away.
So actually, I'm going to move the camera a little bit because you don't want to see me. You want to see all the cool stuff. All right.
Your show and tell, man.
Great. So as I mentioned, for those of you that were at NARCon, the way this works each year is that not all of our new stuff makes it into the catalog. So basically, because we start production so early in the year on the catalog, the new items in every year's catalog are basically about the first 6 months. And the second months, or the second half of the year, is what I'm going to talk to you about now. So only having 5 minutes, I'm going to kind of hurry through all of this. In the background to the left of Ellis are basically all the first 6-month releases, which are either available or right at availability. Doorknob, Mars Longship, Colonizer, Astrocam, which we'll talk about here in a minute, Space Corp Centurion, and Commander Grace Henry of Destination Mars. So those are all products that are either out in the marketplace or shipping within the next couple of weeks here. The big exciting one is, as shown at NARCon, the Astrocam. It is in Target stores. The way they work is they do a planogram reset, which they're working on this week. So by the end of this week, it should be on shelf in Target. And what you can do is you can go to target.com, in the search feature, put in Astrocam. The item will pop up and it will tell you the closest store to your zip code that's carrying it. And so we've shipped it. It's in their distribution and should be on shelf this week. As I mentioned earlier, the Centurion, we have just received these here, so these should be available within the next couple of weeks. Other new item, this is not in the catalog. This is a cute new educational kit called the Star Hopper. And what's unique about this is it's great for younger children because it's all snapped together. There's no glue, there's no measuring. And one of the things that's unique besides the snap together is that we have created a new shock cord anchor mount. So I'll try and move this in closer to the camera. Basically, it's a metal clip that fastens itself in a hole and plugs into the base. And then you snap the fin can together. This goes, you tie the shock cord onto it, and then it slides up into the body tube. So we've eliminated kids sticking their fingers in and holding those shock cord mounts to dry inside the tube. And now it's a very simple knot. This will be available in a bulk pack, and it will also be available as an individual kit. And it's due to ship and be available in October. So look for the Star Hopper. Also new is the 1/100th scale NASA SLS. I'm sorry, 1/200th scale. Thank you, Ellis. These are actually first shots, which we just got today. So this will be ready to fly. 1/200th, it'll come in the same size package as the Saturn V did last summer and have the same retail price point of $69.99. I'll also point out that the stabilizing fins these are first shots, so they just, when they do first shots, they use whatever plastic is in the machine. These will be clear, and they simply plug into place. So it's a plug and fly, and completely detailed, ready to go. I want to talk to you a little bit about our 29mm and the 24mm E12 engines. As most of you know, they've been at somewhat limited supply over the last 2 years. That will be changing in about 30 to 60 days, and they will be very widely available. Basically, the long and the short of it is that we're just now this week going online. We built a new machine to produce these, and they will be very widely available shortly. So look for those. As I mentioned at NARCon, one of the very first projects that Ellis and I started to work on 2 years ago when we got here was a new starter. And I'm going to hold this up for the camera here. This is actually a first production run of next generation solar starter. The major difference is, of course, this has an exothermic tip on it. So it's not pyrotechnic based, but it does produce an exothermic reaction and dramatically increases the reliability of the starter. So this will be a running change, and you'll see these basically about the first of the year is when they'll be available. We're going to do an extensive consumer beta test with these over the next 60 days. And so your club might actually get some of these to test at some of your launches coming up. Other new products, first quarter of next year, this cute little dude will be part of the Space Corps. So it has a little bit of a X-24 feel to it, but it's not glide recovery. So it is a straight boost. And then at Apogee, it's rear ejection. So the rear ejection comes out and pulls a chute out, and it comes back down. Working name on this right now is this is the Aerocat, and it will be part of our Space Corps line. And the CAT is an acronym, CAT, which is Cadet Atmospheric Trainer. So this one is a pre-production. It'll have a lot of, this is a blow mold, and it'll have a lot of surface detail to it. So this is really going to be cool looking little thing. To go along with the wide availability of our 29 millimeter engines, we're introducing or reintroducing a classic, the Dur Big Red Max 29 millimeter engine mount, screw threads, no motor retainer ring, so you'll be able to fly it with those other guys' engines. Will probably work in this also. Ours certainly work really nice. The F-15, this is a beautiful flying model on the F-15. So Dur Big Red Max, this is a March release.
That's a 3-inch version, not the 4-inch version.
3-inch. Also new, this is slated for April, is a re-release of a classic, but in an upscale. So we're re-releasing the Mars Snooper. This version currently has an 18 millimeter mount in it. It flies really good on C5 and C6. We're debating whether to make it available in 24 millimeter, and any feedback you want to give us on that, we'd be glad to listen to what you guys think. But bringing back a really neat old classic. Also shipping in December this year, you want to go ahead and hold it up, is the long-awaited re-release of the 1/100th Saturn 1B, all new tooling, very well engineered. The multi-facet cowling around the bottom is an injection molded piece now. Makes it considerably easier to fabricate and put the kit together. All new transition, lots of great detail. So
that's not to say it will be easy. Easier is relative.
Yeah, it's still skill level master. So this should be available for Black Friday this year. Let's see. We don't have packaging, but why don't you go ahead and the Skylab. So this edition of our famous Saturn V, we're doing it in the Skylab version. This is also now in production, and this will be also available for Christmas. You guys are going to have a lot of choices for your dollars for Christmas presents this year. That's that. Okay, I think I did it in almost enough time.
That's great, Bill. We've got a bunch of questions for you here.
I bet you do. So why don't we just cut to those?
All right. The first one, you have Will Marchant is asking, what is the status of the new Estes Astrovision? Is it going to show up first at Target? When should we start looking for it?
Right. So it's the Astro Cam. And yes, it's an exclusive to Target. You'll be able to find it in Target through this year. There will be an alternate version of this available through regular hobby distribution starting end of first quarter next year. But if you want one now, you need to get it at Target. And we will likely have it available on our website also shortly.
Great. That's just an incredible selection and variety of both new and old kits that you're bringing back. Love to see it. Will Marchant is asking, Estes showed a Falcon 9 model at Narcon. Any updates when we should start looking for that?
You should start looking for that sometime early next year.
Great. Another question from Michael Siebert. Will Estes reissue any of the Maxi Brute series?
It's always a perennial question. It's under consideration.
How many do you want to buy?
Good question. Frank D'Angelo has a comment here. Nice job on the 2020 catalog. Great job on the marketing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bill, Todd Lenhart is asking, what are the recommended motors going to be for the Saturn 1B?
We got to look at the package.
Right here.
Yeah, but I still have to use my glasses.
D12,
D12.3, D12.5, E12.4, E12.6.
Great. Another question from John Petrikis. Will the new engine tooling improve E12 reliability?
Yes, considerably.
And also for the 29 millimeter motors, Bill?
Yes.
Daniel Petri has a question for you, or a comment for you. He's just saying, you guys are going to make me go broke with all this cool new stuff.
That's the plan.
Exactly.
Don't worry, we'll make more.
Andy Jackson would love to see a re-release of the 1/100th scale Little Joe 2.
We'll see. We've got the tooling. I mean, you know, look, we did the Saturn V last year with the Apollo capsule, doing the Saturn 1B this year with the same Apollo tool. We'll see.
So of course, because you invited us into your office, Bill, somebody spotted the Falcon Heavy in the background. What's the word?
Ellis, you were supposed to block that.
We'll see. We're working on it.
We're working on it. There's a number of SpaceX vehicles that are in development at the current time.
Mark Johnson.
Oops, sorry, Todd.
Mark Johnson says, thanks for making the investment in the tooling for the Saturns and other new models. John Petrikis is also saying, great job so far. You've all restored my faith in Estes.
Thank you.
All right.
All right, I think that's enough questions.
All right.
Thanks, everyone. We really appreciate your support.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks for participating
Was
in this very unusual Manufacts, Bill and Ellis. Really appreciate it.
It's a different format for all of us, but it was fun.
Yeah,
Keep flying rockets and we'll make more.
we all plan to, for sure. Especially when you're coming out with cool stuff like that.
Absolutely.
All right. So Todd is now going to promote Tim Van Milligan and Apogee Components into the queue. Thank you again, Bill. I see Tim. He hasn't been unmuted yet, but he will be unmuted here in a moment. And I know a tough act to follow, Tim, but I have a feeling you're up to the task.
Hear me now?
Yes.
There we go.
Okay. Hello, everybody. I'm Tim Van Milligan from Apogee Components. I'm here at the Apogee studio in downtown Colorado Springs, Colorado. It's a beautiful evening. Since Narcon, immediately after Narcon, the coronavirus hit. And one of the earlier questions was, how does that affect the rocket industry? Well, I can't speak for everybody else, but for Apogee Components, it was kind of, we didn't shut down at all. So while everybody else in town was shutting down, they said that essential businesses could stay open. So I deemed myself essential, and we stayed open. And we started shipping, and we kept on shipping throughout the whole thing. As far as the finances go, the Rocketeers have been great. We haven't noticed any blips in the spending from Rocketeers. We have noticed some spending decline from schools. Hopefully that this fall things will become a little bit more normal, whatever normal might be. The school situation is still up in the air. But we've been growing, and we've been on this upward trajectory of growing, and we've moved into this building 2 years ago in May, and it was almost double the size of our previous building. And now we're facing the issue of, hey, we're starting to fill this place up. I don't know if we can last here for another 5 years. It might be even faster. In fact, the other day, my staff told me, Tim, your workshop is going to have to move because we need the space for storage. So I'm being moved into an office just on the other side of my studio here. And if they need that space, I might be building here in the studio. So some of the milestones that have been going on, we're updating our education pages on our website, and you'll see that pretty soon. We're trying to get ready for the school year and what the schools are going to be doing. We think that there's going to be a lot of them that are still going to be online, so we want to provide that kind of online information for students. Another big milestone that we had was that our newsletter, which many of our subscribers, we surpassed 10,000 for the second time. We were up to 20,000 at one point, but then we culled the list because if somebody hadn't opened an issue in over a year, we said they're really no longer subscribers. So we came back down. We dropped as low as 6,000, but now we're back up to 10,000, which is a pretty good milestone. And our videos, which we make here in the studio, we're now over 300 videos, and we're closing in on 525 newsletters. And all of these are available to you, the consumer, on our website because if I'm going to put it out there, I want it. It's kind of like the laws of physics; they don't change. So it's an evergreen product, and so we'll just keep adding to it. In our newsletter, I hope you notice that we've been starting to give out some free plans. We got another one coming out next week. We'll have another free plan. We just did a free plan while we're waiting for the Estes version of the Falcon 9. Here is the free plan version. This is if you have your own 3D printer, you can print a nose cone, print the grid fins and the landing legs, and then supply your own tubes. Everything is supply your own. This is not a kit. Don't come to me looking for parts because it's based on a BT60. We have BT60s. If you want a BT60, I can sell you that. But everything else, you're on your own. Like I said, we're waiting for the Estes kit. We're starting to sell more of the Estes products. We got the new Mars kit. This is a kind of a funny name. They call it Destination Mars Long Ship. So we call it the Mars because it's Mars twice in the name. We also have the doorknob rocket. You can see I got these all built because I built all the rockets that I was selling. But I want to make sure that what our customers go through. I know what they're going to experience. Also new since Narcon, we added a couple of lock kits. This is the T-Lock. They also released the Nike Zeus. Andy Jackson already told you about his new RX 250. We have that also here at Apogee. Oh, and we did a whole bunch of our own products, a lot of little stuff. We did some motor mount adapters, and this is a new fin alignment jig. You can't see it because I'm too far from the camera, but this is for fins, and we're going to actually give this away as part of our newsletter subscription package. It's free, but you do have to place an order to get it. Just recently released the flamethrower rocket, and this is a 2-engine cluster. It's got a bottom is a BT-80, top is a BT-70, plastic nose cone, plastic transition is a blow mold transition in the middle. This just came out, and then as soon as we released it, our decal printer went crazy. So right now they're on hold, but our decal printer should be back online here just a few days. Other things that are coming really soon. This is the Amarok. This is a 29mm single engine motor. And this is based on a BT-80, so it's lightweight. We recommend it for people that want to do something a little bit bigger that uses a 29mm motor. Those Estes F-15s and the E-16s fly great in this. I wouldn't go high power on this, but for mid power, it's a great rocket. It's called the Amarok, and you'll see that probably within just a few more weeks. Again, we're waiting on our decal printer to come online. My next project after that is this. I don't know if you can see it. This is with this black background and a black rocket. This is an X-15. This is a scale model. It's 1/121st scale.
It's all showing up great, Tim.
Okay. This is a BT-80. Again, it's got a blow mold nose cone. All the fairings here along the side are vacuform and a vacuform canopy. I haven't flown it yet. That's the last test. If it flies well, then there's a pretty good chance there'll be a kit. And it's probably maybe 3 months away. We have to special order these decals because it's white decals on a black body. Those are a little bit trickier, so those have to be silk screened. So, and Matt Steele is going to be giving his presentation in a little bit, but he's released a new rocket and we have it in stock. And I can say first, because I'm the first one to build it, I just finished it today. This is an F-117. Matt, I'm sure, is going to talk more about that. I haven't flown mine yet, or I should say, I haven't glided mine into the ground yet. I call it a skill level 5, but it's really well engineered. And Matt, I've got to say, I really like it. The instructions are awesome, probably the best instructions I've seen in a long time, other than the Apogee components ones. So I guess that's all I have. I'm ready for questions if there are any.
Great, Tim. Thank you much. We've got a few questions that have come in. Do you have any, Steve Crystal is asking, do you have any new competition products coming along?
Not quite yet. This summer has been kind of crazy with the COVID. I had to kind of switch gears when all that happened. My first priority was protect the company, make sure that we got good, products that meet the mass needs. And then this summer we were supposed to go to Romania for the internets, but that got canceled. So I was building competition stuff for that in anticipation, but that kind of got put on the back burner. So hopefully in the fall, I'll start thinking about that kind of stuff again.
Sure. We've got another question from Will Marchant. Any news on the GPS guided recovery system?
That is also still in the works, but again, COVID has kind of got in the way of that. Supply issues. We're just kind of getting involved in importing stuff out of China. And the Chinese are still pretty much locked down over there. So getting the supplies we need, it's taken longer than we had anticipated, but it's still definitely in the works. Hopefully, maybe early next year.
Sure. Frank D'Angelo has a comment that he's learned so much from your videos. Thanks. And he's a VIP customer, really appreciates those videos you produce.
I really appreciate that. For you, those of you that don't know, we call them VIRs, very important Rocketeers. And not everybody gets to become a VIR. You have to go through a process. And basically, it's an easy process. You start down the path as soon as you place your first order with Apogee. And by the time you hit your 7th order, then you become a VIR. And that's when there's some benefits other than just the status of being a VIR. Though Apogee, we don't discount, but the only people that do get a discount are our VIR customers.
That's great to know, Tim. Thanks for sharing that. Todd Lanhart is saying, can you talk about your plans for future versions of RockSim?
Oh, I forgot about that. Right after Narcon this year, we released RockSim version 10. Prior to that, RockSim was actually owned by another programmer. His name is Paul Fossey. He did a great job on it, but over the last probably 8 or 9 years, his day job got in the way of programming on RockSim. So I actually had to buy him out. It was one of those things that either I'm going to buy him out or we're going to phase it out. And I decided to buy it out because I think there's still some legs left in RockSim. So we released version 10 with a new programmer. He's in-house. And right now he's on vacation. But as soon as he gets back, what we're planning on doing is to release a bug fix. Unfortunately, this is the embarrassing part, is version 10 wasn't quite as perfect as we wanted it, particularly if you were clustering engines. The cluster engine wizard was all mixed up. The buttons were in the wrong spots. So if you clicked on a 4-engine cluster, it might have showed up as a 3-engine cluster. So they're kind of mixed up. So we're going to straighten that out. And then future plans, our big problem is with Microsoft and Apple Computer. Every time they release an update to their operating system, it breaks RockSim. So our future plan, sometime, I don't know when it's going to happen, we haven't even started on it yet, is we're going to try to go to a cloud version so that we don't have the installation problems. Particularly, we're trying to go to schools, and in the school market, every kid, they're on Chromebooks. And so you have to run in the cloud on that. The downside is you have to be connected to the internet to run RockSim, and we're aware of that. And if anybody has some good technology to get around that issue, let us know. We're all ears.
Great, thanks. John Thompson says, what is the intended impulse for the X15?
I just dropped it. It's designed around 29 millimeters. Because the X15 has those big wings on it, they're kind of destabilizing. So you need a lot of nose weight. With all that extra weight, you need more oomph. So I'm thinking an F20 to G80, somewhere in that area. As low as F20. It might even fly on an E. We're going to find out. The maiden launch is going to be this weekend if the weather is nice.
Sure. Okay, Tim, that's all we have for questions at this time. Thank you very much.
It's been great.
Ed? All right. We're going to go now from Apogee Components over to Matt Steele at North Coast Rocketry.
Darn unmute button. I forgot. My bad. Yep, Matt, we're going to queue you up. Tim, good to see you. There's Matt.
If we can unmute there.
And what a surprise that he's holding the F-117.
Yeah, I was going to say, this has been a labor of love. We showed the preview at Narcon, and it's taken a little bit of time to get everything just right. Needless to say, the instructions we're about a 6-week effort to get everything right, but we've got it ready and released, sold through the first production run, and I've got some parts coming in for the second production run. So you definitely want to get your hands on it. It's been a big success. Been surprised by the number of people who have been interested in it. This is a free flight version, so this goes up in spirals on the way up, pops the pop pod that comes down on a streamer, and then this glides back, a relatively fast glide. It's not the most efficient glider in the world, but it comes back in a nice glide. And on an E20 or E30, which is what I recommend for it, it'll get close to a minute if it's trimmed out right. So for one of the test flights, we actually flew it into a tree at the edge of the field. It went a little bit farther than what we had really anticipated that it was going to go. So I do have a radio controlled version in work, but I don't have any idea when that's going to be released yet. So so that's been the focus of my efforts really since Narcon, and that's out the door. So one of the other kits, let me grab, that I showed at Narcon was the Vectra, and it is due for release later this week. I have everything done except I need to run some rock simulations courtesy of Tim's new version. This will be my first chance to try out the new version, but this is a standard 29 millimeter model with a little bit different kind of situation where the fins are slotted down here. Then I have another tube, and then these attachment points are actually slotted as well so that the forward fins go in and you can keep everything straight. Plus it's very strong with that kind of attachment. So that'll be released later this week. One of the interesting things coming from Narcon, I had been using some sanding assisting tools for about 2 years. I had been using them, and it's actually a set of 3. The small one does G10 fins because I wanted to get a really good airfoil and particularly a taper on the back. And the bigger ones, I usually use a belt sander when I'm at home, but when I'm at my apartment in Huntsville, I don't have that. So I ended up making a little jig that turns around and does leading and trailing edges rather nicely on your fins. And these have been selling like gangbusters. It's been really, really nice. The big one will do 1/8 inch and 1/4 inch plywood and balsa. I have a medium one that does 1/8 inch or 3/32 and 16 inch balsa and plywood, and then the small one that does 1/32 plywood and small G10. So those are an exciting new product. And lastly is I finally got some parachutes with material and markings that I like. So this is the new North Coast Rocketry parachutes. I'm still selling them optional in the kits because I know there's a lot of customers out there that have them that don't need a chute, but for those that do, this is a very nice thin mill type material, pre-printed, high visibility, high strength, and lightweight. And so it's perfect for all the North Coast kits or anything else that you may have out there. Lastly, I don't have it here, but the next, once the Vectra goes out, the next product in the queue is the big Javelin, Argo D4 Javelin that we showed the parts for at Narcon. And that's going to be extensive use of 3D printed parts, so it's not going to be inexpensive, but we're pretty excited about where that's headed, and who knows when that's going to get out. I've learned that things always take longer than you feel. So, but I'm hoping before Labor Day I have that out. So those are kind of the highlights of what I'm working on right now.
Great. Thanks, Matt. We've got a few questions for you here. On the F-117, what's the price point and what kind of motors does it use?
So the F-117 goes for $117. Thought we would keep it easy. And it flies on either single-use 30s or the reload equivalents of those, which E18 and E24s or like, I don't remember right off And so that's what it's designed for. It's a little too heavy. I haven't been brave enough to fly it on a D12. I don't think it's D12 capable, and I have not flown it on the Estes yet either.
Okay. We've got a couple of comments from Frank D'Angelo and Daniel Petrie that they loved your stuff on the Rocketry show. You did a great job, great company. Is it going to be possible to convert the Javelin to a multi-stage?
Yes, it's actually designed, and I actually have in the fin can sections itself, it actually has 24 millimeter rings molded in. We needed to strengthen the area anyhow, and so yeah, it'll be possible to 3-stage that. Big motor, 29 millimeter motor in the first stage, and 24 millimeter motors or 18 millimeter motors in the second, third, and key stages. So that exercise will be left to the student, but yeah, it's actually built and put together with the idea that you'll be able to stage that.
Cool. On the F-117, is that going to, once you buy the regular model, will you be able to retrofit for RC?
I don't know yet because I'm working with Andy Werner, who used to do Polecat Aerospace and big kits, but he's also a very well-renowned RC jet flyer. And I've just kind of sent him some kits and say, go tell me what you think this is going to look like. So I suspect there'll be separate kits when we get all said and done. And if you have the free flight, you may be able to convert it, but it's too early to tell right now. Andy's got some interesting ideas. We're talking about it, and I really respect his work. So I'm excited to see with what he comes up with.
Sure. Buzz is asking status of the old North Coast plans.
I actually have a bunch of them scanned, and I believe that I will have them online. I'm going to start to trickle those out probably after Labor Day. And the idea is for a trivial amount of money, I'll have the plans, the fin patterns, and the decals all available for a digital download. And I actually have a bunch of that work done. I need to go back and scan the fins, and that's kind of what's holding me up. I have all the instructions scanned. And then some of the decals, I got to go figure out how to reprint from the little Mac 3.5-inch hard disks, because I have the artwork. I still have one of the computers that can access it, but I'm not sure what I'm going to do once I open it up. So I have that to figure out on a couple of the ones. I have decals for most of them. So it's just the F-117 has taken up so much time. That's been the priority, and I'm hoping that once I get that in the Javelin, and then I have one more. Actually, I have 2 more neat kits coming out after that that are close behind and probably will come right on the heels of the Javelin. So I have 2 more kits before the end of this year that I'll be bringing out, and then that'll follow.
Okay, great. I think we're going to close out the questions, Matt, and just want to thank you for your time. Is there
All right.
Ed?
Yep. So, Matt, thank you for an excellent overview of North Coast. I can't wait to see F-117s flying, because I remember the first one I did, and it just whet my appetite. So that's awesome. I'm looking forward to it. Egg Timer Rocketry and Chris Irving is who we're going to promote next. I see your video is up, Chris, and I see you are now unmuted. So you should be able to take it away.
Good evening, NAR. This is Chris Irving from Egg Timer Rocketry, eggtimerrocketry.com. A lot of you may not have heard of us because we cater largely to the high power market, but we've been making altimeters, deployment altimeters since 2013, and GPS radio tracking systems since 2014. We have a full range of altimeters, everything from simple deployment controllers all the way up to controllers with 6 channels and accelerometers and all kinds of advanced functions designed for air starting. We also sell a wide variety of GPS systems with little dongle receivers that go on your laptop or Android, all the way up to a handheld display receiver that with a GPS module that's integrated that shows you which way to go and how far to go. So today we're going to concentrate on products that might be of interest to mid-power flyers. Maybe you're going to bigger motors than you used to, and you're going higher, and you're thinking about doing dual deploy, and or maybe you're looking to go to your level 1, and you're looking for some electronics. We have a couple products that are kind of starter altimeters that are a good fit for that. The first one, this is a very popular unit. It's called the Egg Timer Quark. It's very small. It'll actually fit into an 18mm tube. It has 2 outputs, main and drogue. There are 2 settings for the drogue and 4 settings for the main. It beeps out your Apogee. It's great for those small rockets, or it's also good as a backup altimeter. All of our altimeters are fully Mach immune. A lot of people use them as backups on high power too. One thing you need to know about Egg Timer Rocketry before I go any further is we sell kits. Like your rockets, your electronics are kits too. So when you buy Egg Timer products, you get something that looks like this. You get a circuit board and you get a bag of parts. We have very detailed instructions, step-by-step pictures that show you how to assemble these. A lot of people do get put off by having to assemble these, but it's really not all that hard. You just need to have the right tools, just like anything else, you know, a good soldering iron or a soldering station, all the other requisite soldering tools, and most importantly, a lighted magnifier. So another product that we're going to be releasing shortly, and if you use the Jolly Logic chute release, you may be interested in this, is going to be called an Egg Timer Apogee. And this is a single output altimeter. This is actually going to be very easy to build. There are no surface mount parts on this guy at all. It has an integrated screw switch. It has integrated terminals. It's actually designed to mount. There's going to be a special mount you can get that mounts in a nose cone. So it'll stick the terminals to go on your E-match or your straw charge will stick out something like this. I have one of our 3D printing partners working on that with us right now. And it just uses a little bitty 110 milliamp 1S battery. So the whole thing weighs about 7 grams. It's very small, very light. It's only going to be 24 millimeters in diameter. So you'll be able to mount it in just about any nose cone, or you can even mount it in an av bay if you want to do it that way. From our tracker point of view, we have tracking systems as low as $90 for the complete set. And something like this. This is our standard transmitter here. This is our standard receiver here. And you can get to order that either with a USB serial cable for use with a laptop PC, or you can get it with a Bluetooth connection for Android. The range on this guy is about 6, 7, 8 miles. We also have ham systems available, 77 centimeter ham systems available in some of our more advanced tracking products. Those have a range of easily 10, 12, 14 miles. So if you're going really high, that's a good fit. One more product that we have that a lot of people like is this is our Egg Finder Mini transmitter. This one is about, 1.5 inches, 2 inches shorter, and even more than that when you count the antenna. There's a big difference when you count the antenna. About the same range. The nice thing about the Mini is you can just take that and you can wrap that up in a Nomex blanket with plenty of tape to keep it from falling out. And you can throw that in any rocket without actually having to create an av bay for it. So a lot of people use that, and I've flown rockets that way to pushing 20,000 feet. And again, I think I'm just about out of time. And I recommend that if you're looking for some advanced products at a really, really good price, you go to eggtimerrocketry.com. Thank you very much.
Thanks much, Chris. We've got a few questions for you here. Could you talk a little bit about do your kits require surface mount soldering skills?
It's going to depend on the kit. Like the nice thing about, you know, this little guy here is he's designed for somebody who hasn't got a lot of experience, you know. So it doesn't have surface mount. The Quark has a lot of surface mount. It's almost all surface mount. So on our website, we publish a degree of difficulty, and that's from 1 to 5, depending on how much surface mount parts there are. If you get something like the, this is our most sophisticated deployment altimeter. This is a egg timer TRS. You can see there's a ton of little parts on there. So
Sure.
again, it depends on what you're going to build. I recommend, if you have not built anything like that before, you start with a smaller kit and you work your way up. Don't start with a TRS, or unless you've done a lot of electronic assembly before, you're probably not going to be very satisfied with the result.
Sure. Well, your products are certainly getting a lot of reviews here. Kenneth Weaver says, thank you, Chris, for some great products. Jeff Taylor says, love your products. Can an LCD receiver be retrofitted as a Bluetooth receiver?
Sure. The Bluetooth module, $6. You just, there is a space directly for it. You just plug it right in. You know, that's an extra device that you may or may not want to carry around, but you can do it.
Sure. Ed Chess also chimes in and says, Chris provides excellent customer support on all of his products.
Oh, I appreciate that.
While we have you here, could you talk a little bit about some of the prices of your products? Like, for example, the Egg Timer Mini or your entry-level tracking system?
Yeah,
what are the
guess
costs?
I should have probably thrown that in there too. We'll start with Quark. The Quark is $20. That is about the least expensive dual deployment altimeter you can find. We have, they go all the way up to our Egg Timer Proton, which is a six output with an accelerometer that goes up to 120 Gs. The kit for this guy is $70. And you notice there are a lot of fiddly little parts on the bottom. So this is not a beginner kit, but if you take a look at what we offer for the price, you know, we're typically, you know, 50 to 100% less than, you know, than everybody else. The trackers, our standard trackers, GPS tracker is $70. The mini version's $5 more, you know, and the, you know, the complete set is $90. If you get it with the LCD receiver, it's $120. But you got to build it.
Sure. All right, that's all that we have for questions. Chris, do you have any closing comments?
Oh, no. Well, thank you for listening to me.
All right, great. Thank you.
Can the host ask a question?
Sure. Is that permitted?
Chris, quick question. With regards to the surface mount installation in a lot of your components, have you yet produced or considered producing like a video that explains what sort of soldering equipment is good, what sort of soldering equipment you should avoid, and maybe some of the techniques to achieve a good result?
Have I considered it? Yes.
Okay. Hope you'll produce one.
There's plenty of videos out there on YouTube that show you how to do that, but I've actually had people saying, well, we need videos. And, you know, that takes a lot of time. You know, go ask Tim. He can tell you all about it.
All right. I appreciate your answer. So thank you for your presentation on the Egg Timer. I learned quite a bit that I wasn't familiar with. So we are now going to promote up into the queue here, Gary Rosenfield for Aerotech Quest. Chris, once again, awesome. Thank you for your time and participation.
Thank you.
We should get you up here in a second, Gary. Hopefully. Still looking for you. Haven't seen any video yet.
Gary, are you there?
I know he responded in the chat when you said he was going to be up. Yes, up next. He said it would be okay.
There he is.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you. Now we need your video, buddy.
Okay. The video was on.
Huh.
Hold on. Start my video. There we go.
There you go.
There we go.
All right.
Hi, I'm
Aeroway.
I'm Gary Rosenfield with Aerotech and Quest, and it's good to be here. And it's been a challenging year for everybody. I'm sure we've been doing very well here, and I hope everyone out there is doing well, or at least as well as can be expected under the circumstances. But just to kind of give a little bit of a recap as to what we've been doing this year, kind of in the middle of the whole COVID thing, we announced a couple of new motors. We had the I-175 Super White Lightning and the G75 Metal Storm. The I-175 is a 38 millimeter DMS motor, disposable motor system, and the G75 as well. Now the G75 was previously released as a multiple delay motor. So what we did with the new G75 was that we introduced it as a DMS motor with the adjustable delay time. And when we did that, we held off on announcing it until we had lots of inventory, and they were available immediately as soon as we announced them. And that's we're going to try to continue that pattern as we go forward. One thing just also want to mention, as you saw it perhaps at NARCon, that we've been in the process of rebranding our motors, our small mid-power motors under the Enerjet brand, and we're continuing that process. If you haven't seen the packaging for the G74, this is it, and you're going to see more of these with all the motor data on the back. And speaking of Enerjet branding, we are working on an Enerjet Classic motor, and we haven't quite decided which one it's going to be. It's probably the F52 or an F52 designated motor, using a propellant that's specially formulated to look as close as possible to the Enerjet exhaust. So a very clear flame, no smoke, mock diamonds, all that kind of thing. Hopefully you enjoy that. We're currently going through the certification process for the White Lightning Q-Jets that were announced at NARCon. And I can't give you a date on that, but we've made, everything's in the works. And again, we will announce those for the fall release. And when we do announce them, they will be available immediately. Another thing that's been asked of us on the high power side is, can you bring out the I-65, that long burning 54 millimeter motor that we've sold since, who knows what, LDRS-3 or something like that. When we first brought it out in conjunction with the I-65 from Locke. Originally that was a no smoke motor, but then we brought it out in White Lightning, then we discontinued it, and now we're back with it as a DMS motor, but unfortunately we were not able to bring it out as a delayed motor because we were having problems getting the delays to come in spec. Well, we're working on that. We're going to try to bring out an I-65, at least in a delay around 10 seconds, for those of you that would like motor ejection, traditional motor ejection for that motor. And we're still working on the long burning motors, talking like H11, H13, G12. We're working on both technical and regulatory solutions to get those out into the hands of hobbyists, because we believe they are safe to use, but we might have to, do a few things, tweak the motors. We've actually test fired some and dramatically lowered the temperature of them, but it creates new challenges when you do that. We're definitely looking forward to attending our first major launch this year. We have not attended any, and we haven't attended any events, I think, since NARCon. So we're looking at attending Airfest in September, and then XPRS hopefully later in September. We're really looking forward to that. Looking forward to seeing some of you out there. That's going to be a lot of fun. It's just, it's really difficult not being with our customers and not helping out and you know, talking with everybody and helping them out. We have, in case you didn't know, we have a new closure for the 29 millimeter reloadable motor. It's a plugged and threaded closure, and that's available now. This is something that's been asked again for many years probably for us to bring this out, but it's threaded with a 1/4 20 thread for a forged eye bolt. Let's see. Oh, we have a new 75 millimeter nozzle. That's it's designed with a single throat. It's smaller than the large throat 75 millimeter nozzle, and it's designed to substitute for a lot of the Medusa nozzle 75 millimeter reload kits that are out there now. And the reason we did this was for the crossloads, the reloads that fit in brand C hardware. And the reason for that was that the Medusa nozzles would impinge on the aft closure the way it was designed. So with a single large throat nozzle, we eliminate that problem. And also this has been, this design has been examined and approved by Tripoli. Tripoli should have either already made an announcement or will be shortly making an announcement on this. So in the future, the new, like the M650, M685, some of those, I think it's the L1150 red line would use this nozzle. And we have other high power projects in the works as usual. We've been able to take this time not only to work on new products for you, but also to increase our inventories. And we've already been able to drastically reduce our lead times with our dealers. And I hope that's, you're seeing that on your end when you buy from your dealers. So again, I think that's all I have at the moment. And I want to thank all of you for your support of Aerotech and Quest products and of RCS, the parent company. It's been greatly appreciated. We've noticed that while the big launches are down, the small launches seem to be up. So people want to fly, and we do appreciate that. And we look forward to seeing you at the next big event. Thank you.
Thanks, Gary. Appreciate all of that. And we'll move into some Q&A. There are some questions for you.
Okay.
Just an initial comment from Chris Irving, who we just heard from Egg Timer. He's suggesting maybe plug the long burns. The delays are too short for most flights anyway. Comment?
Well, they are plugged. Like I said, the I-65 is currently plugged, but we've had a number of requests to bring at least one delay out. Okay, so if we do get it, you know, for example, like if somebody wanted to fly one on an I-65, an 8 to 10 second delay is probably just fine for that. So we would offer that in a single delay, and it wouldn't be certified for adjustment. It's just the nature of that motor, because of the long burn, it just affects the delay so much that it's just not amenable to being adjusted very easily.
Got it. Severio Prato is asking, will Q-Jet motors be available in Canada? Somehow I suspect he lives in Canada.
Yes, we are working on that right now, and if they aren't already approved in Canada, they will be soon.
Excellent. Ken Weaver was asking about that 29 millimeter plug forward closure you showed. I could tell that that was for the high power 29. Are you considering one in any way, shape, or form for the 4120 hobby case?
It's certainly possible, but nobody's asked for one.
Well, Ken, I think Ken now is your first person.
Well, yeah, if we get some interest in it, I mean, additional interest, I think we could easily do that. Yes.
All right. Excellent. Frank D'Angelo says, I love the Q-Jets. Any larger Q-Jets in the works? I don't know if by larger he means more impulse in the same case or physically in diameter. So he leaves that a little open to interpretation.
We're looking at all the possibilities.
All right.
Yeah.
Sounds good. And then John Petrakis asked, any plans for a Q-jet that is closer to maximum impulse for the 20 Newton second D-impulse range? Like the now discontinued D21, D10.
Yes, we're looking at that as well.
All right. Okay, excellent. Well, that runs the Q&A queue at this point, Gary. So I want to personally thank you for taking part.
Thank you, Ed and Todd, and everybody for watching.
You're very welcome. So Todd's next going to promote Randy Bodway of E-Rockets into the queue. Gary will fade slowly into the display behind him. And so we're looking to see E-Rockets video come online. Ought to see it here any moment. There. Say goodbye to Gary.
Okay?
Come on, E-Rockets. Come on, Randy. You can do it.
All right. I can turn this
off.
off.
We have video.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Well, here, let me take my face shield off. You know, during the coronavirus, we had to make these things so we could stay open. And it was a successful endeavor. We made plenty of shields. And now we're finding teachers need shields for school. So if you want to send them our way, please do that. All right. So what do we got on the docks? Lots of new stuff has been coming in. We found a new source for the Alpha 6. If anybody wants some, there's very few out there. We ran out at one point in time, but they're back. We've also found a source for Wacky Wiggler from Estes and the Zombie from Estes. Those kits have only available in starter kits in the past. Now we've got them as bulk kits, so no fancy packaging. That means great price. So that's something to consider. Today I wanted to spend a little bit of time, since we're here in our warehouse and you get a chance to see a lot of the stuff that's going on behind me. But I wanted to show you some of the E-Rockets branded stuff and the Semrock branded stuff that we've got available. Anybody need piston tubes? We've got them back in stock. BT5s, BT20s, boxes of 25 or 30 at a great price. So check those out on our website. Some of the other things we've got is Sigbon makes a really, really nice glue. And now we are introducing our own brand of glue, similar product, but now you can have E-Rockets on your shelf instead of an airplane company called Sig. Something we've been producing for a number of years is our tracking powder. It's available in orange. It's a great item. That's under our brand name. And we may actually manufacture that right here. And then a new product that we just started selling, came out today, is sanding sealer. We have a water-based sanding sealer that is now available under our E-Rockets brand name. It's a 3-ounce bottle, so it's not a lot. This product does tend to dry up fairly fast if you store it for very long. So here it is in a smaller container, so you'll have less waste over time. And it's competitively priced with the larger containers you're finding in Home Depot or Lowe's or those other places. No Rocketeer can go without their handy dandy rocket removal shovel. Now, this comes in a very nice compact case. So it's got a nice carrying case, throw it in your trunk, wherever you might need it to recover a rocket. Also, I've got to tell you, it's got a bottle opener. So if you're out there and you're getting a little hot digging, use your bottle opener. It also has this really nice saw. I'm not sure if that would be good for maybe sawing logs down to start a campfire because you've been out there so long, or if it's just something to cut your steak with while you're out on the rocketry field. But anyway, those are some of the fun things that are available at E-Rockets. I had a guy come to me the other day and he bought a whole bunch of these parachutes, and it's got a little guy attached to it, and he put like 20 of them in his high power rocket and dropped these all off at 1,000 feet. That was a good time. The other thing that we've got that's kind of unusual is this is a motor building tray. It's got a rubber mat on it so your stuff doesn't slip around. It's great for going on the table or on your lap. So when you're sitting out there putting your high power motors together, you've got a place for all the parts to sit. They're not gonna disappear so easily. So that's a fun little item that we produce. Boy, this is a grid fin, right? Yeah. If you want to use these as grid fins, you can, but I personally use mine as a coaster. So it's not really a coaster because it's got holes in it, but it sure looks nice on your coffee table. Those are available, and they're cut out of a mirrored plastic product. So it's like top notch, unbelievable. But anyway, you get a set of 4 grid fins when you buy that. This is our CA Preservation Center. I know some of you have bought these in the past. They're a great little gift and a great little tool. It's like a little refrigerator, and you keep your super glue inside your refrigerator, and because it's keeping the moisture out, you got to keep the door closed. It's keeping the moisture out. It's therefore preserving your super glue. So any CA that you have, put it in there and keep it closed unless you're pulling it out to use it. And it's a one-handed process. You can pull it open with one hand, pull out your super glue, use it, put it back, make sure you close the door. The other thing I noticed is my nozzles are not clogged as often when I use this, because as soon as you put it back and close the door, it's keeping that moisture level down, and now your super glue is not crusting up in and on the nozzle. So it's a great preservation item and a great gift for somebody that doesn't have something. Definitely have that. Now, for you discount aficionados, those people that love to save a few bucks, I have an exclusive from Bob Smith Industry. It's a brand new size on epoxies. I've got 5, 15, and 30 minute. These are 40% off while they last. Okay, we'll have them for a while. But if you want a big bottle, these are 13 combined ounces. So these are the largest bottle Bob Smith Industries makes. And like I say, they're 40% off right now. So if you're a big user of epoxy, come save yourself some money at E-Rockets. We've got over 1,000 items on sale right now. So look around on our webpage, erockets.biz. Now, it's been pretty interesting the way that Micromax has done for us. This is our Micromax Mars lander. It's been a huge hit for us over this last year. So if you love Micromax, yes, there's motors that small. This is a great kit for you. Now, we've been asked, hey, we need a scale kit in Micromax. So we've added in the Jayhawk. We put that up against the camera there, Phil. We've added in the Jayhawk so you can see the detail. And if you get really close, you'll see that it's got the conduit on the back side of it too. So anyway, that is brand new from Semrock, and it is now available. In fact, reminding myself, the first 30 kits that we produce out of every new kit gets a little number decal that you can use to either stick on the rocket or on a display stand or something like that. The first 30 kits have got numbers, so you know which one it was. Also, we've got our Stellar Aero. This has been a big hit for us. We've had no issues in making plenty of them, so that's available. The other thing that, while we're talking Micromax, is we've got our orbital transport in the Micromax world, and this is done very, very well. But I want to show you the secret of why Micromax has become so popular, and it's the launch pad. So Phil, would you give that a little camera close up? You'll see there where the starter is actually attached to the launch pad, and that then goes on a regular launch rod at any launch pad, and then it's got the Micromax launch pad attached to it. So this is a wonderful thing it's inspirational in helping you get your rockets off the ground the first time when it comes to Micromax. These are only $5. Lots of people are buying them. Almost every Micromax kit we sell, people buy a launch pad as well. So that's something that's really exciting that's really helpful for those folks that like that micromech stuff. And we've got motors and all that other stuff. If you need it, check us out, erockets.biz. Last but not least, we have got our scissor wing transport. It is coming right along as far as development is concerned. We are getting very close to finalizing the design. There were a lot of engineering things that we wanted to upgrade because that's the way we are. Heavier body tubes, a new plastic hinge. We've totally redesigned the mechanism that twists the blade. So this is going to be coming to you by Christmas time. We'll be producing this in full swing, and I'm looking forward to that. I know you've seen it in the past. We had a prototype, but now we're serious about putting it out. So look forward to this coming out pretty soon. All right, I think it's time for questions and answers.
I would agree with you, Randy. So again, going back to the first question that pretty much everyone has been responding to, how have sales been during the quarantine? And do you believe the people have been buying and building, or just, you know, sitting quietly on the sidelines and not flying?
It has been crazy, people. The war on boredom may not be over yet, but we're doing the absolute best that we can to help provide relief. That's my coronavirus commercial.
All right, that's a good response. John Thompson and John Petrakis both want to know if the shirt you're wearing is for sale, and if it's the only one, they both want to buy it. I would start the bidding at $50.
And if you guys want this shirt that bad, the Canon auction can use your money. I'm willing to sell it. So you guys tell me what you want to offer at the high bidder. I'll sell you my shirt.
If only we were going to have a Canon auction as part of the first one.
No, that's okay, because I'll be the only contributor to Canon with the proceeds from the shirt.
Well, let their anticipation build for one more year, and we'll do it. We'll still do it up in Geneseo next year.
We'll make more.
Bob Caplow wants to know if the tornado put the squash on your moving into your new facility. Is that still on the horizon?
So far, yes. We are bulging at the seams in this place. We can't get any more merchandise or people in here if our life depended on it. So we are looking forward to moving into our new building. Who knows when?
All right. Will that tracking powder that you showed earlier, will that lubricate most of your plastic parachutes? Or, I mean, would you use it like talcum, or would you use it strictly as a tracking powder in a separate area?
I would use this strictly as a tracking powder, and I'll tell you what, it disperses about 4 times more than talcum powder does. And you know what the texture of talcum powder is like. Yeah. Well, the texture of this is very similar to that, but it disperses much more widely in the air. I don't think this is necessarily a good lubricant. It's a paint pigment that is very safe. This is the pigment they use to color plastic products. So if you have a plastic toy or something like that, this is what this is. And we buy it in gigantic bags for $1,000 a bag, and then we make these containers and put little scoops in them so that you Rocketeers can use them in your rockets.
All right. John Throw would like to know what the status of semrock.com is.
Oh my. It almost is changing by the day. We did go down about 2 weeks ago. There was a power outage here in the building. We thought that was the reason that it went down. We found out later that was not the reason that it went down. And we have not had very good luck at getting semrock.com to come back up. Now, yesterday, the server itself cycled so many times trying to reboot, it actually rebooted itself. So the server is up, but our connectivity is down. But we're working it.
Okay. And let's see, I'm sorry. Oh, and Michael Siebert wants to know, where do you find your micromax? Maybe he's referring to motors. I assume you have motors.
Yeah, yes, we have Micromax motors, absolutely.
Okay. So Michael, sounds like Randy's got you covered from stem to stern.
We absolutely do. We've got it all. We have to be one of the best Micromax motor vendors out there. I can't imagine anybody selling more than we do.
And finally, Steve Knocklin would like to know, is there any future Semrock SLS kit releases?
No, absolutely not. We have dumped the name SLS, and we are going to show our new series as Pro. So we're going to do it as a Pro series. And hey, Phil, you want to bring something Pro up that we're going to have out? Phil's my designer, and he comes to Narcon and a lot of other things with us. So he's bringing up the Bluebird Zero, which if it wasn't for the coronavirus, I think we would have had it out by now, but it's coming soon. And also we actually have an orbital transport with the glider that glides down and everything. That will be coming out as soon as we can put that together as well.
All right, sounds great. Randy, very much appreciate your supporting this manufacturer. You had a lot of stuff. I'm going to move on now, if it's all right by you. I want to get Tom Kindig and Impulse Launch Systems migrated up into the queue. I see Tom's video. And Todd will unmute you here in a moment, and it will be your platform, Tom.
Really?
Soon as he unmutes you. There you go. Should be yours. Go ahead.
Hello, everybody. We're Thomas and Lori.
The last time that the spiders did an update,
yeah,
January of this year. Oh my.
Sorry, Tom. We'll get it straightened out. Hang in there with us.
Okay.
We won't short you any time. All right. I'm going to assume we're good. Take it away.
Hey, Thomas and Gloria with Impulse Launch Systems. New kids on the block. We had a lovely visit with folks at Narcon in Tucson, and then of course everything sort of shut down. We're still here, and we're looking forward to serving the rocketry community. Gloria and I have been flying rockets for over 20 years. We're both level 2 certified. I'm the president of FLAIR here in Las Cruces, New Mexico. Gloria is our educational outreach director. We're producing launch equipment. Our initial start with launch equipment involves a controller called the Fiver. The Fiver is a 5-position launch controller with continuity, local and remote. It's made of sturdy electronic parts, custom-built cases. You may be able to see that this has a 50-foot Ethernet cord extension, and it has 5 sets of launch clips, arm and disarm, local and remote, local continuity check, and then when you go to the controller, which you can have up to 50 feet away, you toggle the toggle switches down to get a beep for positive continuity indication, and then you toggle them forward to select the pad. Once you arm, you get a nice loud siren at the launch pad location to indicate that the range is live, and then you press a single launch button to launch from 1 to 5 positions. You can do them all at once if you want. That system is a $360 delivery. One of our core concepts is building systems that all fit into a box very neatly. No loose parts means no disappointments. So this system comes with a very neat carton to store it in. It's very compact. Battery and everything will go into that carton. The lithium-ion battery pack that it's designed to use to be used with is a $50 option. We also have a $15 option. You can get a alligator clip adapter to hook up your favorite battery. The companion to that is a sport launch rack. We don't really have enough room to show you that here in our tiny little studio workshop. But it's an attractive product. You can go to impulselaunch.com and give it a look. The next product that we're offering is the HPR 1. I don't have that out to show you. It's a single pad, also a 50-foot extension. It's our least expensive controller. It's $280, and it's primarily targeted at TARC and small clubs who don't launch that much medium power or high power. But we've been sort of alarmed at times, frankly, seeing local TARC teams launch with a 15-foot cord and a controller. 30-foot is the safe distance, so we figure we can probably help improve on that. Next up is an HPR3, same concept, same basic gear, except the continuity button goes to the pad with you, and you've got your nice big alligator clips for medium power and high power. The alarm siren, the arm siren in these is actually like really loud. It will be very apparent to anyone within 100 feet of it's a car alarm basically. It's super loud. You can hear it from 1,500 feet away, no problem. The continuity pucks detach. They're not going to fit onto the spool, but there is a position to put them in the larger box for these. We're currently working on an HPR5 controller as well, and we're just really intent on supplying high quality launch controllers. These are built with very sturdy parts. Their cases are sturdy. I'm very confident in saying that when you put this much money into a launch controller, you're looking at a decade of use easily. They should last a lot longer than that. Sturdy stuff. Once things settle down in terms of COVID contagion, we're going to work with a local metal fabricator and work on some HPR launch pads. We're real intent on doing that. We'd like to offer a variety of launch pads for various size rockets. We're not going to set up and do welding here, but we can definitely contract those services. So I'm ready for any questions.
All right. Thank you for all that, Tom. Is it Tom or Thomas?
I go by Thomas.
All right, Thomas. I don't like to get that wrong. So like you were saying with regards to the fact that people are making a very significant investment in your equipment, Pat Fitzpatrick asked if there is a warranty offered on your launch systems.
Yes, there's a 90-day warranty offered on all of our products.
All right. And what sort of lead time currently? I understand COVID affects everything, but it doesn't mean that there isn't a club or an individual who wants a launch control system. So what sort of lead time would you expect to deliver right now?
For the fiber controller and the sport launch rack, we offer a bundle deal. It's $580 for the two. We have delivered them in 4 or 5 days. We currently have 4 available in inventory. And we're looking forward to selling some more gear because things have been very quiet since the first week of June.
I was going to say, you know, have you seen your sales significantly impacted by the quarantine?
Yeah, that's a fact. I think it really has to do with clubs not being able to meet, much less lunch. To make an investment of this sort, it's usually not an individual who's making the purchase. It's usually a group. It's apparent from how quiet sales have been that it's been a very difficult time for all of us.
All right. And finally, with respect to the fact that, you know, some of the components will see enough use over time that maybe somebody needs a separate continuity box, or they need a part, a piece, possibly a switch. And I know you're using high quality materials. All the same, you support, you have parts. I mean, people could come to you if there is a, you know, a component that they need to replace.
Based on how durable the components are, I would be very confident in shipping a replacement. In exchange for them shipping me the original, I can make the repair. Meanwhile, they're flying rockets.
Okay, that sounds great. All right, I think that's what I've got for questions at the moment. So, Thomas, I appreciate your attendance and your supporting the hobby and your participation in Manufacts, and I hope it's been worth your time.
Thanks to all of you very much. Stay safe, please.
All right. So next up, we're going to promote Rick Randall and New Way Space Models into the queue. I see a window. I see Rick. We'll unmute you in a moment and move Thomas off. And Thomas is gone and hopefully muted. Let's make sure we mute that so we don't have the issue we had last time. Rick?
Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you. It's your stage. Take it away. Oops, hold on. Wait. Hold on, Rick. Todd, we need to, you remuted Rick and Thomas is still not muted. Rick, okay, now we have it, Rick. Fire away from the top. Sorry.
No problem. Hi, I'm Rick Randall from New Way Space Models, the square rocket guy, if you guys don't know. This is our 11th year that we've been making square rocket kits. Just something that we thought would be fun to do. And it is. We're still having a good time doing it. And we've done some new kits here recently. And right now, almost all of our product is available at our good buddies at eRockets over in Ohio. And so our very first rocket was the Square One square kit. And we just introduced the Square 1/2, we're calling it, because it's a mini engine, 13 millimeter engine. And it's not really quite a half, but for smaller fields and still square and fun. So that's that one. And then next up was the Silent Night. It's a all black rocket. So you paint it flat black, and then the decals are gloss black. And you can almost see there's like a sword decal on there on the side. And it has a very unique body joiner here where it goes in around the fins to give you a different thing that's 3D printed. And then our scale-like kit, if you can have a scale kit that's square, the Honest John. This was when I started Rocketry. In 1974, this was my first Estes kit, was a Honest John, and I thought it would be a great tribute to do a square version, and so that's what we've done. And you do have to build the nose cone yourself. It's made out of flat balsa that's laser cut, and you have to put it together like a puzzle, and then it has a 3D printed shoulder that goes on there. And all three of those kits are available at eRockets already. And then I'll talk a little bit last year at NARM, which was here in Indiana where I'm at Muncie. We talked about the Saturn IV and our square version of the Saturn V. And we thought we were going to be very close to having it done. And then we ran into a large problem with some of the 3D printed parts, specifically the top here. And it's been a challenge trying to get it to be strong enough for what we wanted. And we are working on some, we've got a new printer and we're doing some new parts, trying to put it through the paces of working. And we're still hoping to get that done. It's probably still going to be down the line a little bit, but we are going to do that. And then at NARM also last year, we showed a prototype of what I think is a really exciting new kit. And it's called the Steamliner. And it's kind of a steampunk-based rocket. And we finally got it to a point where we're going to have this kit available here in a couple of weeks. And as you can see, it's a much different type of rocket. It has these large panels on either side. And then it's got hoses and gears and other things on it and little windows. And this flies on a 24mm motor. We've done it on C11 and D12, and they flew great on all of those. And it's just really unique looking and kind of different. So we're hoping that that's a good one for everybody because we find it really neat. And a lot of people have mentioned Micromax rockets, and we do have some Micromax rockets also that we've had for like a year and a half now. And these are just smaller obviously small versions of our regular kits. They're all 3D printed, pre-colored for the most part. The see-through you do have to paint the black on, but the parts are all printed, and it has stickers you put together, and they use the Micromax motors. So those are really neat. Again, all of these items are available at eRockets. Now we're working on some other things, and one of our friends at the Rocketry forum, Neil Weinstock, has designed some really neat rockets, and we took one of his designs and we're working with it. And the working title is kind of called the Avalanche, and it's kind of a throw to the maybe the Flizzkit's Spitfire, and it's a segmented rocket where it looks like it's kind of falling apart. It's got a 3D printed nose, and so very unique and very interesting. And then we do want to mention that several of the kits we're now using 3D printed nose cones that we've been doing. In the hobby industry, the balsa wood is becoming harder to obtain and expensive. And so sometimes the 3D printing is a great way to solve that issue. And as we look into things that we've done, we thought we'd try maybe something a little different. And so we are experimenting with some other things, including, of course, a triangle. So this is the trio. This is the prototype of a triangle tubed rocket. And we've flown this and it's worked out fine. And we're just trying to figure out if we can figure out a way to make a kit out of it. And so we might have a little offshoot there with the triangle version. This will probably be the only triangle rocket, but just something different that, you know, kind of going with the different shape stuff. I think that's about all for now. We're working on other rockets, and we got some other things in the future, and, you know, it's all good.
Rick, that was amazing. I got to say, your creativity, I think Jim Fliss is proud. A couple of, I gotta ask the standard question. So how have your sales been as a result of COVID and all the restrictions?
Well, I feel like we've done pretty well because I think the people were looking to do something, and it certainly showed by people buying the kits. And I think there's a lot of, maybe when we get back to launching on a regular basis, I think you'll see some more square kits out there than normal, which is great in my opinion.
Absolutely. Now, I know that you showed the Saturn V I think that's the one that maybe James Duffy asked a question about. He said, question for Rick, when will we be able to buy that wonderful Saturn and launch platform that you teased last year? In launch platform, he added that, so that's obviously important to him.
Yeah, this was the launch platform. And we've just about ironed out the problems with the 3D printed parts. There was a problem with the way the printer was printing a part, and it broke really easily. And so we've tried to work our way around that. This particular stand, my son designed all of this, and it's all 3D printed. We basically figured that we couldn't afford to print these and sell them for what it would take. So my son has worked out an alternate laser cut version of this stand. And we haven't quite finalized that, but we're hoping to get both of those things kind of done so that we can offer a more price affordable launch tower that goes with the rocket.
Well, I can assure you, in James Duffy's case, make sure it's the laser cut one, lots and lots and lots of pieces. You know, that'll entertain him a little bit longer than the 3D printed one will. Now, the moderator, who doesn't get to ask Q&A, but gets to send me private notices, wants to know what's the price of the Micromax kits in general and the Steamliner. You got a couple of real positive statements in the background about the Steamliner.
The Micromax, let's see, I'm looking at some reference here. They're between $10 and $13. And we also are working on a Micromax Steamliner. We didn't get one made in time. So, but
Okay.
Yeah, we're working on one of those. The Steamliner is probably going to come in at about $35.
Okay, all right. And Pat Fitzpatrick just popped up with could you do a launch stand in scale with the Estes 1/200 Saturn? Or the SLS kit they're going to release?
I would have to ask my kid if he wants to get involved in that.
It's 7 o'clock.
That's why we have kids, man. Well, I didn't have kids, but you had kids. That's why you had. Now,
And thankfully he's smarter than me, so.
You're getting some really positive reactions on the Steamliner, so I think sales are already on an upward trend. March those babies out there, I think. And finally, Will Marchant wants you to know that although Dare to be Square, that's your tagline, he's not so sure that Try to be Triangle is going to work as well, but something for you to consider.
Well, we actually been using a new slogan since last year, and that was New Way, we cornered model rocketry.
All right. I love it. Nobody asked about buying your shirt, but who knows? They probably, you can donate that one too off your back, and you can go up against Randy. Rick,
All right,
tremendous presentation. Really loved it. I'm going to move on to our final speaker of the evening. So we're going to promote up Frank Burke at Dinosaur Rocketry. And Rick, you have yourself a tremendous day, and thank you very much.
Appreciate it. Thanks, everyone.
All right, I see Frank's video is on. Rick's been muted. Frank, stage is yours, Frank.
Hello, can you hear me okay?
We can hear you. We lost your video.
Oh, let me click start video again. The host has stopped it.
Oh, there you go.
There we go.
It looks like you've got a bad case of stalactites. All right.
I'm live at the Batcave.
All right, take it away.
So this is Frank Burke with Dinosaur Rocketry, and if you haven't heard of us, we specialize in radio control rocket gliders. So these all boost vertically off of a rail. They all come with rail buttons. Nothing is ejected from the model. You steer them on the way up and you steer them on the way down. They're a great demo model for schools because you don't need a very big field and you can land them where you want to. You don't need to worry about trees. We've been doing this for about a little over 5 years right now, and the response has been much better than I expected. We've got a 26 kit lineup currently, and if you can't find something that interests you, you're not trying hard enough. So all of these kits are hand cut by me to order. So when you place an order, I hand cut these, so you get a little of my heart and soul in every one of these kits. They're highly prefabricated. The elevons are pre-hinged. The spars are either pre-installed or they're pre-grooved. The body tube slots are hand cut, and they take maybe an hour to an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours at the most to assemble the airframe, and maybe a half an hour to put radio equipment in. They don't come with radio equipment, but the website has full instructions. There's general instructions on the radio equipment with links of what I recommend. I've got a video on a quick pad that you can build that takes a rail. If you don't have one, it talks about painting the special foam that I use so that you don't melt it. Reloading the motors. These are all designed to use the 24mm Aerotech E6 rocket motor. It's a long burn, low thrust motor, so they're fairly easy to guide on the way up. We carry the motors and the casings, and also a single-use version that's certified as well that we carry. We've been working on quite a few things. I'll pull out a few of the latest ones that we've been working on. This one here is a disc-shaped model. So this is the first that I know of RC rocket glider kit offered with a circular wing. This is called the Proxima Horizon, sort of an alien-themed model. This has a 19-inch wingspan, 2.6-inch diameter body, and it's around 38 inches long, and it has the nose cones that were used in the Silver Comet, I believe, with the molded cockpit panel lines in it. And this is a really neat looking model. I've got one with lights on it that I fly at dusk, and it's really spectacular. And that disc wing flies a lot better than you'd think. It's a lot more airier than you'd expect. I don't have a stealth fighter, but I do have a Raptor. So this is another one of our newer kits. This is an F-22 Raptor. This model is about 9.5 to 10 ounces, ready to fly. It's a very light model and has really good performance. Very easy to go together. There's a simple wing planform on the top, and the vertical stabilizers are one piece with the fuselage size, so they go through a slot, and you glue them in, and then the body tube glues in between them, and it all locks together, and it's a very simple, quick kit to put together. This is my latest one that I put together that I wanted as an homage to the Der Red Max, and I call it the GDRM, or the Gliding Der Red Max. So this model, I tried to keep the fuselage ratio and the vertical stab the same fin shape, adding a faceted bird-like sort of Germanic World War I era wing to it. It flies really nice. It's got dihedral. This weighs about 10 3/4 ounces, ready to fly. And I wanted to say that none of the kits come with decals, but I've worked with Mark at Sticker Shock to make excellent sets of cut vinyl decals. And there's links in the online instructions. All the instructions are online, build photos, everything's live there for you to look at, along with some flight videos. But Sticker Shock does great decals. They look really good on the models. They really make them pop. I've gone through a set of doing some Cold War era jets. So I've got a pair. This is the F-106 Delta Dart. And this is a very light model. This is just a little over 9 ounces, ready to fly. So it's a little smaller model, but boosts really, really well, and really looks that part. I've gotten a lot of response of people whose fathers, uncles, or grandfathers flew Delta Darts. And this one here is a Delta Dagger version, so a little bit different tail and extensions on the rear and cockpit and intakes. Again, very simple to put together, but looks the part. I've gotten photos from people of their dads in the cockpit saying, man, that you used to fly these things. That's so great. And one of the more unusual Cold War era jets that I come out with is a Saab Viggen. So this is a Swedish short takeoff and landing fighter bomber with a canard wing. It's a little bit hard to see in the light here, but it's a very unusual plan form. It looks really great in the air with the double wings. It's very, very unusual looking. Again, this one's, maybe 35 inches long with a 23.5-inch wingspan. So these models, the key to these models are they're extremely lightweight. So if you make them lightweight and you use a low thrust motor, they're easy to steer, they don't have much stress, and they're not going to come apart in the air. One of the ones I'm most excited about is I reworked my Beaumark kit. So this is a 42-inch long, 2.6-inch diameter Beaumark. It's a 21-inch wingspan. The wing's slightly oversized. But this is a radio control rocket glider. You land on the ramjets, but this is only 14 ounces, 14.5 ounces ready to fly. So it doesn't have a really long glide time, but it's very controllable. It's easy to flare, and I've never had any damage to the ramjet pods. But for you guys that like Beaumarks, this is the only RC Beaumark kit that's ever been produced, as far as I know, as far as a rocket glider goes. So this is about the same size as the Mad Cow 2.6-inch kit, but it only weighs 14 ounces, so about a third of the weight. So this boosts on an E motor, and it just looks really great in the air. And Sticker Shock has US or Canadian decals available. And the final one I wanted to share, this is my 1/14th scale X15. So this is a scale outline, scale wing area X15. This is one model. It weighs 17 ounces ready to fly. So this is the only model that I make that does require either an E18 or an E20 or an F24, because it's a little bit heavier. You'd run those without the ejection charge, of course. So all these models are designed to be flown as radio control only. They're not designed to be boost gliders or converted or use a parachute. They're specifically engineered on the inside to not have a lot of the structure that adds weight. But this X15, it just boosts dead straight, and it looks so good. And you come into flare with that nose up, and it looks just like the X15. So if you were a kid, you remember watching the X15s and you dreamed about flying the X15, man, I tell you, it is so cool to fly one of these and come in and flare nose high and have a great landing. It's a lot of fun. So one other note, these aren't designed for novice flyers. You do need to be an experienced RC flyer, fixed wing, that's used to flying something with a maybe a 50 to 60 mile an hour aileron control airplane. If you can fly that, then you're good to go for any of these models, and they're a whole lot of fun. So with that, I think that wraps it up, hopefully.
All right.
Got any questions?
Oh, yes. You've generated a good list of questions, Frank.
There's a whole lot more models where those goes to them. So on the web page, they're all listed on the main page. I all sell directly off of the web page, and like I said, they're all cut to order. When you place an order, that's when I make your kit.
I think you answered Ken Weaver's question regarding, what kind of flying skill do you need? But he also asked, could you add a flight stabilizer? As you know, in RC now, there are stabilizing systems.
Right. So I personally haven't done that, because for me, these are easy enough to fly once you have the boost and glide trim settings down to where, you're just adjusting for the wind. You could certainly do something with an Eagle Tree Guardian, or maybe a receiver with the AS3X stabilization. Now, you have to be careful because there are certain modes. So when you're boosting, you're vertical. So you want it to maintain vertical, but then when you transition, you'd have to go into a different flight mode where it wants to maintain level flight if you wanted to do that. But I personally haven't experimented with that because I don't need to. But I'm certain that you could do something like that. But again, the main thing, you're not going to start flying in a P-51 Mustang. So get a trainer. I recommend the UMX Radian, or the Radian itself that's made by E-Flight. It's a motor glider. You power it up, you get high, you turn it off, and you practice your dead stick landings. Do that for a month or two, and you'd probably be good to go on any of these kits. So really, they're nothing to be afraid of if you just have a little bit of stick time.
All right. So Pat Fitzpatrick is interested in knowing if an F-18 might be in the works. And I'm going to pair that on with a question from Chris Flanagan, because he'd like to know, where the heck is your XB-58 Hustler?
So the XB-58 is upstairs. It's a profile only model. It's quite a bit heavier. And the problem with that is putting the motor. So I personally like models where the motor's in the tail and it looks like a real airplane. So the Hustler, the Stinger on the back end, it's off axis with the wing and it's way the hell in the back, which means you need a lot of nose weight to counter that. And so it's just not really feasible for a kit. But I do have an F-14 Tomcat. It's hanging right here on the in the bat cave if I can pop it off. And this has been really popular. It's not a swing wing, but it doesn't need to be because this only weighs 10 ounces. And the trade-off in adding a mechanism for a swing wing versus the weight that you'd add and the slight performance gain, it just isn't there. So it's very simple. Again, it goes together really easily, and it looks great in the air. I've got some nice videos on YouTube. I've got about 300 videos on YouTube if you go to the channel.
Okay.
With all kind of different flights and stuff that I've done.
And is the F-101 still available?
I've never done a kit of the Voodoo.
Okay. All right. Well, Pat Fitzpatrick obviously wants one. And it brings up a question. I see the SR-71 hanging behind you. Is that a good example of anything? If somebody wants an SR-71, I mean, you'll cut one for them, right?
So that's actually a YF-12.
Okay.
So that's the interceptor version. You can note that the chines don't go all the way forward and it has a rounded nose. That was because of the big radar that was in the YF-12. The only example that's left is in the Air Force Museum. But it is the general plan form of that. So I do make a YF-12 kit. This one behind me, that's a one-off that I did for myself. That one flies on G motors. But it's too big for me to box and reasonably cut up into small enough pieces and have you assemble it into something strong enough. But I do it's a 40-inch long, 20-inch wingspan version that flies on the E motors, and it flies really nice. I've flown those up to E30s actually. That's a kind of a hair-raising boost because if your trim isn't right, the flight's very short. But if your trim's good, it goes like stink.
So again, Roy Green is asking, these are limited runs, right? And I think you said earlier that that's not necessarily so.
Well, it depends, right? The original run of Beaumarks I did took special components that I had to order. So I did a pre-order on that, and those were, when those were done, they didn't use normal parts that I used all the time. The new version of the Beaumark that I cut 2 ounces off of that flies on the E6s now, that is a standard item. So as long as I can get tubes from BMS and nose cones from Estes, I've got sufficient foam for probably another 2 years at least of the special lightweight foam that I use, and they're all cut to order. The X15 that I showed, that was a labor of love for me. I had to get a mold turned and sent to a guy in California that does a special roto casting to get a 4-inch nose cone that was 12 inches long, that was 3.5 ounces, because everything else is just too heavy. And that model doesn't require any nose weight. It turns out just perfect the way it is. So I've got 3 more of those nose cones left, and I'm not sure if I'm going to have the guy do another run because it's a fairly significant investment in the rotocasting material and getting those pre-ordered, and I have to sit on those if I don't sell them because I don't use them for anything else. But
that X15 is really impressive, and I don't know the depth and breadth of RC skills amongst the model rocket community, but that's a model worth learning the skills to fly.
Definitely so. That and the Beaumark both. But no one really has ever gotten, that I've ever seen, one of either of those two to work in a reasonable fashion that boosts reasonably well and lands fairly slowly without destroying something. So I've been able to do that. I'm proud of that fact. Yeah, the X15 just looks great, and it boosts on the F-24. It just looks really great. It's got a big white flame. It boosts to maybe 450 feet. The glide time's only about 30 seconds after burnout, but it's an X-15. So, I challenge you to do better with anything else.
Right. I was going to, I'm going to close by, if I can get this out. Someone's, yeah, Frank Angelo is asking about videos of your kits in flight. Do you have a YouTube channel? Is there a place where they can go and view a lot of these?
So if you go to my username on YouTube is BurkeFJ, BURKEFJ. So you can look for that username, and I've got 350 videos of rocket gliders and a bunch of other things too. If you go to the website, which is dinosaurrocketry.com, DYNASOAR rocketry, one word, .com, there's a video link in the upper bar, and you go to that and it takes you to a playlist of a video of each of the current kits that I have in the lineup flying, so you can watch through those and see how they boost.
Awesome.
And so a lot of these things, some of them are things that I just liked as a kid, or they're an upscale, like the one, I don't know if you can see it back there, the Space Transporter America. You can see the red wingtip. So that's one I saw at NARAM 2 years ago, and I just really liked that design. So I upscaled the wings, made it flyable, and I think it looks more in proportion. So these are things that I've made because I wanted them, and then decided to give something back to the community.
Right.
Offering something, because I'm having a lot of fun doing this, and I wanted to kind of share that.
I'm going to ask a final question. People understand you've referenced the reloadable low thrust E6 RC motors in this. I think you should say something real quickly here as we end this about you're sort of the key player, almost exclusive source for this stuff, and it's what makes your product go. So.
Right. Yeah. So I've tried to keep the E6s alive through Aerotech, I hope, and I think it's been working pretty well. So I carry their special casing that has a solid closure, but I've done pre-orders with Aerotech, and I'm able to offer those at a really, really good price.
A really good price.
Almost on par with the standard casing. These things are super easy to reload, right? You've got propellant, a nozzle, and an O-ring. You lube it, you put it together, done. There's no delay element, no nothing. I run about 3 of those, and then I use a little baby wipe and run it on the inside to clean it out a little bit and keep going. And that's all it takes. And then I also do have a supply of the single-use versions, which are slightly lighter. So you need a little bit less nose weight for those if you don't want to do the reloads. They're more expensive. The trade-offs around 8 or 9 flights, the reload casing and reload cost is for 9 flights is cheaper than buying 9 single-use motors. So if you're going to fly a lot, the reload casing is the way to go.
For sure. All right, good. Frank, awesome stuff. I can't thank you enough also for participating this evening. And I look forward to seeing you in action, hopefully a launch not too far in the future.
Hopefully. I just submitted my retirement, so maybe I'll be able to drive a little further now and come to some launches.
All right. Very good. Thanks so much. All right. So I'm going to take over your lives all again. So I want to close the presentation off here. I'm trying to follow some instructions that are on my screen. I don't know if I'm actually on your big screen. I'm going to assume that you are. So I want to say something really quick to all of you before you scatter from your computers. We have a town hall coming up Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And a lot of these manufacturers and others have donated prizes that the national events went out and requested, so that you'd still have a sense of what NARAM is like, and that's the door prize side. And so there are going to be door prizes drawn at the end of the town hall on Wednesday night, and you can't gain access to those door prizes unless you register. And the way you register is you've got to go to your personal NAR account under member resources and select to register for the town hall. I also want to remind you, virtual NARM continues. Chris Flanagan and Don Carson are watching over 60 people participating in the first ever virtual NARM. Hopefully it'll be our last, but maybe it's a format of the future in some way. Also, I want to also point out that the board, the NAR board, has decided that National Events is going to work on a virtual NARCon for 2021. Work to begin with Todd and I will begin work on this immediately. Many of you attending tonight may have been past breakout session presenters. If you have an interest in presenting virtually for NARCon 2021, please reach out to either Todd or myself via email. I think everybody knows how to find us, but I'm gonna leave it at that. I'm not gonna try and quote out the email addresses at this point. So, and by then, hopefully we will absolutely have our heads wrapped around your ability to show PowerPoint decks and videos as part of, obviously, of your virtual NARCon presentations. So that's what I have for you at this time. I want to thank everybody, the roughly 115 people that participated this evening.